preparing the live stream. We should be live soon.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Downtown Brantford Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting, July 8th, 2020. We'll start with our roll call. Annette?
Yep, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Approval of the agenda.
Me.
Bill, second. Gary, thank you. Declarations of conflict of interest. Seeing none, thank you. Consent items, the minutes of the June 10th meeting be approved. Gary, seconder. Bill, thank you. And that the following be received, the June, July activity of our executive director, Annette. Okay. Thank you, Annette, for putting all that together. You've been busy. All right. We're going to start with our introduction to the new Downtown Revitalization Director. And Indy, you're on the floor.
Thank you, and I appreciate you letting us go ahead first. We do have the Emergency Operations Center meeting at 8:30 today, so I have to go and run off to that one. But I wanted to just come out and, like Beth did with me, I'd like to do the same to Guggen and introduce her to the BIA executives and the board meeting at this board meeting. So Guggen joins us from the Corporate Initiatives Group with this from the CAO's office. She's played an integral part in supporting health and well-being initiatives throughout the city. A few of Guggen's projects have included the development of programs to support newcomers to Canada, making digital technology and resources accessible to all residents, and promoting the health and well-being of Brantford seniors. Guggen also worked on various projects that included supporting recommendations from recent service review and planning for the move to the new City Hall. Her strong stakeholder engagement skills, meticulous eye for detail, and visionary thinking will play an integral part in the success of the Downtown Revitalization Project. So just a little bit on her background. She has a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science and Sociology from the University of Guelph, a Master's in Public Policy degree from University of Toronto, and she's currently pursuing her second Master's of Planning from the University of Waterloo. So I want all of you guys to congratulate Guggen on this position, and she's going to be a great asset to all of you as she takes on this this project and the projects to come. So I don't want to speak too much about the projects. I do want Guggen to explain where we are with those projects now, but congratulations, Guggen, and these will be your experts in the downtown that you can rely on and engage and to get to know each little nook and cranny of the downtown and make the project that much better.
Go ahead, Guggen. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to get to know everybody and to work together on the downtown project. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, it looks like we're in good hands.
Yeah, I hope so. Do you want me to just go into some of the details about the project itself now?
Yes, please.
Sure. So we are currently in the process of doing an environmental assessment for the downtown streetscaping. The study is going to be looking at various elements of the downtown, including the underground infrastructure, the roadways, the configuration of the roadways. We're going to be looking at things like the transportation options, parking options, pickup, loading. So pretty much anything to do with downtown and the configuration of the roads, and anything to do with accessibility, safety, the aesthetic, furniture, all of that is going to be taken into consideration, wayfinding, street lighting. Those are all things that the study is going to be looking at. The main areas that the study is going to be focusing on are Colborne and Dalhousie Street from the junction all the way up to Brant Avenue, including the ladder streets in between as well. So that's the area of the study. Right now, the notice of study commencement hasn't come out, but we're expecting it to come out probably within the next couple of weeks, maybe next week. The consultant's already been retained. A lot of the background has already been done. So once the ball kind of gets rolling, we're just going to be picking it up from there, and it's going to be going pretty quickly. For folks who have been involved in the past environmental assessment, it does include a lot of stakeholder engagement. So of course, the BIA is going to be a huge part of that as well. Some of the things we're going to be planning are workshops where we get different folks together from stakeholder groups, and we let them kind of design the roadway and their vision of what that's going to look like. We're going to be looking at all the recommendations and options that people present and try to take those and compile them into something we can present at the public information centers. More details about that will be released at a later date, so I'll definitely keep you all in touch, keep in touch with all of you about that. We are going to be launching a website very soon, probably next week, with more details about it. And I can share that with you as well once that's released. But in the meanwhile, if you have any questions, if you want more information, if any individual wants to be added to the list, you can just reach out to me. I think my email should be in the email chain from this meeting, but I'm happy to, chat with anybody about any questions that they might have. And Annette, you are on the stakeholder list, so I'll be sending you all the details anyway.
So I just wanted to add as well, Councillor Wall was also named as our project ambassador for the downtown revitalization a while back. So he's going to be a great resource and a partner to Guggen as well as we work through this on the council side of things, but as well as the stakeholder engagement. And so Guggen will be reaching out to you, Councillor Wall, with a few ideas of engagement and quotes and just getting the excitement started for this downtown project.
Whatever you need, say the word.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you all, we appreciate it. So if there's any questions, we can take them if this is the appropriate time, Chair.
Yes. Any questions of Indy or Gavin?
Just the scope of the work you mentioned was Colburn and Dalhousie between Clarence and Brant and the streets in between. Is it extending out to Darling Street on the north-south streets like King, Queen, Market?
So right now, the scope of the environmental assessment is actually from the pinch point of where Colburn and Dalhousie meet and the one-way begins. So it's all the way from that point over to Brent Avenue and all the north-south streets in between that connect those roads, because it's important for the utilities and the undergrounds to connect and loop the way that they're designed. So it's going to be from that point over to Brent.
A lot of the utilities on Market Street between Darling and Colburn connect over to the, like Hydro in particular, connects over to a transformer by the library. So there's a lot of intermingling. Yeah. And I'm on Market between Colburn and between Dalhousie and Darling. So it's just a reason for that question.
Yeah, so right now the streetscaping is going to be focused on Colburn and Dalhousie. But the connections, so for Bell or Hydro, they all have to actually loop up and connect to their major infrastructure and whatever location that is. That would be in scope for them to make sure that their undergrounds are energized in the downtown core on those two streets. So they can't just create a new line that's upgraded to allow for upgraded services to the businesses and then not be able to feed in. So you will see some work outside of those two streets for the undergrounds, but for the above ground streetscaping portion of it, it's actually just Colburn and Dalhousie right now and the cross streets. And then, as this project evolves, well, not this one particular, but the success of this one will grow other projects, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Indy. Indy, I know that you have to be on your way. Gagan, you're welcome to stay with us.
I wouldn't mind sitting in on the.
All right, we welcome your.
I appreciate the time, Gagan. I know there's an item for the Main Streets Revitalization Initiative funding that we received. So Gagan can speak to that as well. We're getting ready to implement some of those assets that we have bought and purchased, and we've used that funding to do so, but she can get into more detail about that. And thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Indy, nice to see you. Okay, we'll move on to welcome, Karen.
Sorry, I was late.
No, that's okay. We'll work on to parking enforcement. Carrie, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, I just wanted to bring forward the motion to have the city re-implement the on-street parking enforcement in the downtown core. Right now, a lot of the parking is being abused downtown, and I think this would encourage people to park in the garage. So if someone wants to, or I guess,
Yeah, someone else to
make the
second that.
motion.
Wait here, I'll second that. Move that.
Thanks, Dwayne. Okay, we'll head into discussion. Just raise your hand, please, if you'd like to make a comment, just to keep us in order. John, your speaker is, oh, there.
I'm not really having a problem on Market Street, and I don't know any business on Market Street that's having a problem. And the businesses on Colburn between George and Market aren't really having a problem right now. But being as it is, I've been expecting the city to light up the parking enforcement any minute now anyway. So I don't know if it's going to make much difference one way or the other. I think that's probably in the background for their plan. So might as well just pass this one and move on, in my opinion.
Councillor Wall?
Gagan, do you have any update on that?
Yeah, sorry, that's not my area. Maybe we can take that back to ask the manager of bylaw.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion on it?
We're still in phase 2 of the pandemic, and people are forced to work from home. It's not an option. They don't have the ability to go into work, and they have to park somewhere during the day. I receive a ton of calls from constituents saying, you know, but whatever, it's your decision to make. It's just people aren't parking downtown because they're going downtown to shop, or they're going downtown to, you know, eat at restaurants. Even the restaurants, you've got like a limit, and you have to go, and there's like limited capacity. People are stuck home. They can't go anywhere. I don't support parking enforcement coming back until the pandemic is either over or people are able to go back to work, because that's why we removed the parking enforcement. It has nothing to do with anything else. You can't punish people for being stuck at home. Thank you.
John?
Can you just clarify that, Mr. Wall, that the city actually doesn't have it in their plan to put the parking enforcement back in soon? Is that right?
I haven't heard anything about re-putting. I mean, I know we're going to do parking enforcement again, of course. We have to have parking enforcement downtown. I personally don't support parking enforcement coming back, except for the complaint basis, which it is currently. Until people have the ability to be able to go back to work, people shouldn't have to be going outside when you're told to stay inside, to move your car, to be hopping around or having to pay for parking. That's my personal opinion as the councillor for downtown and the representative of the people who are going to be having to pay for parking if we bring back parking enforcement, or are going to have to be stuck having to find another place to park their car.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. John?
Just to clarify, the answer to my question was no, there's nothing on the books to reopen parking from the city right now. That's correct, right?
That is not at all what I said, John.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything about parking enforcement. No one has come to me. I don't think it's a council decision. I think it's a matter of staff doing it. But if someone comes to me with a parking ticket because we have enforcement during the quarantine, my opinion is, I was stating my opinion that I don't support encouraging parking enforcement coming back. I'll be voting no against this motion.
Dwight here.
Yes, go ahead, Dwight.
The city parking lots are underutilized, and everybody's using the streets and taking them up all day long. This is not good for business. People, I've lost parkers because it's free street parking and the rest of it here, and there is going to be a parking problem once City Hall gets in and the rest of it here. And I think with the streets being, at least the streets being monitored with the parkers and the rest of it there, it'll send a message that people can start using the parking parkade, the city parking lots, and that's what they're meant for, long-term parking. It's not the streets for long-term parking and the rest of it. So I disagree with Councillor Wall on his thoughts there. And I'm thinking about the businesses here. Not only that, the employees of some of these businesses are the biggest perpetrators of using the streets, and that's not what it was designed for. We've gone through this over the years with numerous businesses, and it's not what it's designed to do. The streets are designed to move traffic, not people parked on there all day long. And especially if we're going to get into any initiatives like with patios or different initiatives here, we need to keep the streets clear. And now's the time to start. We have contract there, so I maintain to keep the parking lots free and for what they were meant to be. So, okay.
Thank you, Dwight. Councillor Wall, did you have a question?
Yeah, a comment, I guess. Is that the intent of the motion? Because if that's the case, I mean, if the intent is to support on-street parking and keep the parking lots free, the point was made that the parking lots are what parking for long-term parking in the streets are not. I don't know. I didn't recall hearing that as part of the original motion. If the BIA is moving a movement that we have parking enforcement on the street, but we keep the lots free, and they're asking City Hall to do that, I could get behind something like that. But I think it's a matter of parking enforcement coming back. It comes back for the whole core. So I was curious what the wording of the original motion was.
Yeah, just to clarify, it was on-street parking. Okay, all right.
Can we hear the motion again, please?
Yeah. That the DBIA Executive Committee recommends that the Board of Management request that the city re-implement on-street parking enforcement in the downtown core. Carrie?
That's the intent of the motion, is to encourage people to go into the parking garages and park in the garages and the parking lots rather than on the street. Like Dwight says, it's not people necessarily parking. It is employees abusing it, store owners, etc., abusing it, residents. So I think now's a good time to encourage parking in the parking garage.
Councillor Wall?
Can we add the wording and that the BIA recommends that parking in the parkade and the parking lots continue to be free?
Yes, that sounds good. That's the intent of the motion. So that would be, I guess, a friendly amendment or whatever you call it.
Okay, and that the parking garage
And surface level parking lots.
and surface level parking lots remain free.
Until
Un-
phase 3 or, until people are able to return to work. Because not indefinitely.
Right. How do we phrase that?
For the time being, maybe.
Until further.
Until such a time that the pandemic has calmed down or,
I know.
None
None of us know how to do this. And open for further consideration? John?
Is it possible that we could defer this till the next meeting to work out proper wording that will make everybody happy and then move on to the next point in the agenda?
Well,
We're so close.
I don't know if that's necessarily
I'm not.
done. We're there. Just
okay.
I'm not so sure we are.
Okay. We have a motion on the table. And Annette, do you want to read it back? Are you recording?
The whole thing?
To read back the amended motion.
And I have, and that the garage and surface level lots be free until phase 3. I put in brackets, or people can return to work. And then there was another suggestion that it be such a time the pandemic has calmed down and open for further consideration. So there's a few ideas out there. I think they all kind of mean the same thing.
I think the first one you said was the best
Yeah.
one.
That the
Right.
garage and surface level lots be free until phase 3, or people can safely return to work.
That sounds good.
Okay. All right. So could we have a seconder on that motion that was just read? Dwight? Second? May I call all in favor of that motion? Or should I show of hands, please? One, two, Dwight, Bill, Carrie, myself, and Councillor Wall. Okay. Oh, sorry, Karen and Karen. And opposed to that motion? John O'Neill. Thank you. All right, we'll go on to the next. Marketing Communication Beautification Group. Carrie, do you want to speak to this again?
Okay, so 6.3.1, that the BIA Executive Committee recommends the Board of Management allocate $2,000 from safety project to apply social distancing stickers, ground stickers throughout the downtown and support our partners, Harmony Square, Library, etc., with distancing stickers and safety trespassing signage.
Do we have,
seconder?
as it's read, Councillor Wall, are you seconding? Your mic isn't on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's second.
Okay,
So this, can I speak to this?
now we'll discuss.
Okay, so I just thought it would be good to show a united front that we are keeping our patrons safe and keeping the downtown safe. Stickers throughout the downtown, say on street corners, entering Harmony Square, places like that. I know other cities have done them. We can get the stickers that are durable and good for the outdoors. And I think it would show that we are all united towards safety, and they would be our Stronger Together logo with the writing.
Councillor Wall?
It's a brilliant idea. So thanks for bringing it forward, Carrie. I have a friendly, I want to move an amendment, and I'm hoping it'll be friendly. I had a concern raised to me about the stickers being on public property, on city property, like the sidewalks or anything like that. So private property, I'm all for, because you could give it to the business owners and they can put it wherever they want. But could we add just a friendly amendment to have someone from the BIA liaison with city staff to check about any issues that there might be with putting them on sidewalks, or just making sure we can do it and that it won't be any issues?
Annette has started the conversation with Gary Anderson, I know. I think we would just have to go through the sign bylaw through the city, so.
Just, can we just amend that in there then to say to work with the city about the, something that says that we're not just gonna do it, but that we can do whatever we want, I guess, on private property, but
yeah.
For the public property, we're gonna liaison with City Hall staff. I just wanted to make sure it was
a
in.
friendly amendment.
Dwight?
Yes, these, we're talking about stickers here. The initial investigation there, they're very expensive, and there is a wear factor with it. I have actually, our company has stencils, and the stencils would, I think, would be a far better solution as far as wearability. And who's going to get into the maintenance of these and the rest of it too here? I think the idea, principle is good. For the businesses within their businesses and stuff. Outside, yeah, there is responsibility and maybe liability, I suppose, with it. But it's definitely worth looking into. The stencils are probably a better way to go with the paint, and from a cost point of view, the stencils, the decals are quite expensive. They're quite expensive.
Okay, thank you. Carrie, do you want to amend the motion to include stickers / stencils as a possibility?
I suppose that would be, yeah.
Some consideration, right? Okay. John?
I think it's a good start, and I agree with it.
Okay, good. Councillor Wall?
I'm just reading the thing again. Are we just doing this if this gets approved then, or is there going to be a design that's going to come back? Not necessarily through the board, but is there anyone else who's going to be signing off on this, or is this just we do this now and then it's happening?
Annette?
Usually everything's going through the executive. Once things are approved here, just to keep things moving along, it goes to the executive for approval. So that's for the board members.
So we're just allocating the funds, and then ultimately the executive will pull the trigger if it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can support that.
Aaron?
Just have a comment is I forward the concept to the Raylyn from the library, and I was wondering if there was any response from her around being receptive of the library using the term, the sticker.
Goggin, did you want to speak?
Sorry, I'm not sure. I haven't heard from Raylyn. I'm not really sure where the conversation was, but we can try following up with the library again.
Okay, thank you.
I talked to Lori Dawn at Harmony Square, and she said she would definitely be interested in some for Harmony Square.
Okay, thank you. Annette?
I was talking to the supplier that she had been talking to, and they've canceled doing the stickers and they're doing a stencil now. And I guess it was mainly for Harmony Square for the sprinkler to make sure people are social distancing and things like that. So they've changed their minds and have gone with a stencil.
Excellent. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, can I call the vote on this motion? And what we're doing is amending it to include stencils as a possibility. All in favor? Okay, Bill, Dwight, John, Carrie, Councillor Wall, and Karen, and myself. Thank you. No one left to oppose. Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right, we'll go on to the website. Carrie, was this your motion?
Yeah. So I just wanted to recommend that we request a net and all-day breakfast to bring our website up to date and pertinent. Right now, it is, to be honest, very ineffective. It has old information, useless information, still has events on there that aren't happening. We have no COVID information for our members, no resource links for them, nothing. So I think we just need to bring the whole thing up to date and do what we can. I know Bernie has been talking with Matt about the website and what we can do or can't do. So we need to figure out what we can and can't do. And if we can't do what we need to do, we need to just put the money forth and set up a whole new website. So I think we need to look into that. But for now, we need to at least do what we can to bring the whole site up to current.
Thank you. Bernie, are you still with us?
Maybe get a seconder on that, Barbara.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, seconder. Was that you, John? Right. Are you seconding?
Yes.
Yes, okay, sorry. Bernie, did you hear the question about the website?
What was the question? I just heard you talking about it. And I think it was Ben talking to. Yeah.
Sorry. Bringing it up to date and what that would involve with all day breakfast.
Right, so I did talk to Matt and he gave me access. The access that we have is incredibly superficial and limited. So we can make some changes. I will get the COVID, like the Stronger Together information up on the front page. But other than that, it's very difficult, and we just don't have the access that we need to be able to make some of the changes that we had discussed previously, Carrie.
So how, is there no way to get access?
So we have reached out before for the access, and we were told that they don't have that access anymore to be able to give us.
John, did you have a question?
Who's they? Who are you contacting? It's not giving the access.
So that would be TDG.
That was the
ones that built the website initially.
Oh, really?
When I contacted him 2 weeks ago and asked, okay, what's up with the website? He said he gave the access information to us. So does that mean he didn't have access to all of it?
No, well, when I had reached out to him, when we had first started working together, I was told that he didn't have the access anymore. And that the access that we had was the only access that they were aware of. And we weren't able to make the changes that we can't make the changes that we had previously discussed about the website based on the access that we have.
Dwight here.
Dwight, yes, go ahead, Dwight.
I think this whole problem goes back to Barry English and the fact that he had an off-site person dealing with the website and stuff. And this is Curry checked. We've had difficulties all the way along here, so it may be something that we just can't get together. We're going to have to figure something out because this isn't right. Every time we get involved with somebody, we end up getting the short end of the stick, whether it's John Bradford or TGG. I mean, they quit, and then all of a sudden, maybe it's a competition. I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden it doesn't work. We can't get access. We can't make the necessary things to change it, update it, or do anything. We have no control over our assets with stuff. So I propose that, and that's why Kerry was looking at it, that we either cut to the chase, just cut line or forget about fishing here and just set up a whole new website that we can look after and we can have maintained and have control over it, because this just isn't right. Just isn't right.
Okay, thank you, Dwight. John?
Bernie, with the limited access you got, is it possible to delete some pictures that are on a website? Because there's some offensive pictures that show people not social distancing in Harmony Square in the park that doesn't look good on the BIA website. It'd be nice to get those pictures off ASAP. Can you dump those?
It's hit and miss what we can get to and what we can't get to. So because of the style of the website, where individuals are like the idea of it is great, but so every business is supposed to have access to their own profile and page where they can upload pictures and information. But unfortunately, with the access we have, we don't necessarily have the ability to go in and remove the images that are up there. And in certain places on the front homepage,
these are on the homepage.
These are on the homepage. I haven't seen exactly where to be able to change them. Some of the stuff, like Bernie's just scrolling through on the page right now. Some of it we might be able to get rid of, but I didn't, when I went into with the access that we have in the back end, there was a bunch of different aspects of it missing, because you have all the different segments. You have your downtown, helpful information, education, email updates. And then if you scroll up, we've got the big make downtown your destination. So not all of those pieces were available to be able to be edited with the access that we have. I can go in and do my best to remove everything and get the Stronger Together messaging on there. But I can't guarantee that we can get rid of all of it with what we've got right now.
If you can get rid of just those images, that would be great.
Okay.
I mean, until you get things settled. You see the ones I'm talking about.
And the events.
Yeah.
Okay, John, Councillor Wall.
Annette, are we mandated or legally required to have certain parameters or things on our website similar to how the city is legally required to have it be a certain way?
I believe the only thing is to have our agendas posted.
So there's nothing to do with it having to be able to be read by like a reader or for it to be a certain amount of accessibility or
Maybe.
because government websites have to be,
Yeah.
they have requirements. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if because the DAB, whatever, I'm wondering if we are obligated to have those same standards.
Yes, I'm not sure.
Can we
I'm not sure.
can we inquire about that?
Yep.
Thank you.
That's a good question.
Okay.
So,
Sorry, I still have a couple more points. That's
oh,
okay.
I'm sorry, Councillor Wall.
No, that's okay. I paused. I don't want these questions answered on the live stream. So I'm just asking the questions and then I'm hoping that Bernie and Annette and Ben and Barbara perhaps could go and look at it. So I want to know who owns the domain name downtownbrantford.ca. And then I want to know who hosts the website. So is it like a GoDaddy or is it through Wix or is it through whatever? And then I want to know where the data from the website is hosted. There has to be a way, if we are the domain owners of the website, there has to be a way for us to just recreate a website on that domain and scrap everything that we have. I don't want to see that happen. There were a couple of names and a couple of things thrown around. I don't want to name any companies or individual people, but we are downtown Brantford. We own downtownbrantford.ca. Presumably somebody from this board had to pay an invoice to purchase that domain. If that's not possible, much like we had to do with our Instagram handle, we might have to do www.downtown.brantford.ca or something and restart. If we are, the only other option is for this board to consider, going to court and seeing if we can get our assets back or, and I don't necessarily know that that's something we want to do. So if Ben and Bernie and Annette and Barbara can figure out who owns the domain downtownbrantford.ca, who our host is, and where the data on the servers are. Is it located physically on a computer here? Or is it, I think those are all very important questions regarding our website information.
Okay, I'm sorry. Could I ask, Carrie, could you take the chair motion? Karen, can you take the chair just for a minute?
Okay.
So I'd like to pose a motion that we, or recommend that we defer this item. It sounds like it needs much further discussion with Ben and Bernie and all involved, and that we come back with a solution from the executive, if we can.
Okay, comment by Carrie.
Yes, I really don't want to defer this. We need to get it up and to date and pertinent as much as we can right now. Like John said, we need to get rid of some of the pictures. We need to do what we can now, and then we can add on the end of the motion to figure out whether we need, to figure out the logistics of the website and where we go from there. But I think a start right now is bringing what we can up to date. I don't like the idea of deferring.
Go ahead, sir.
Hold on, Bernie.
I just did a search on the domain and the website, so I have some info that I can send to you guys too. Of just, it has some names and some where the stuff is potentially hosted, so it might help track it down.
I also have all of that information. I pay the invoices, so I have all that information.
Great. Councillor Wall?
I understand the intent of what Barbara is saying. I think the questions that I asked about, and then Annette just answered, and Bernie, participated in. I think we can get to work immediately. I'm not against the idea of a deferral. I just think that there's nothing stopping us from having the team just go and start figuring out the website back, because it's ours. We should be able to, at its roots, rip it up and take it. And that's what needs to happen. We need to get it out of the grasp of anybody else's hands who's not a member of this board or who's not a member of. And so, Barbara, good idea. I think, though, we can get started. I strongly believe we are ready to go.
Dwight here.
Yep.
Dwight?
Yep, Dwight?
Listen, I agree with Councillor Wall. I also agree timing is of the essence here, and we're being handcuffed, and to defer this. I think we can make whatever changes we can make at the present time, have further discussion, get a handle on what we do own, what we don't own, and I agree with Councillor Wall here. And let's just get to the bottom of this and quit wasting time and move on. So that's my thoughts.
Okay. Barbara?
Okay, I'm just going to ask if there's any further discussion because of the timing on this subject. Okay, Karen, do you want to call the question?
Okay, can we have the question reread so we know what we're voting on? Annette?
That the DBBIA Executive Committee recommends the DBBIA Board of Management requests that a net and all-day breakfast be tasked with bringing our website up to date and pertinent.
Are we okay with the question?
I just wonder if we should add a caveat to the end of that. If it can't be, then we investigate a new website.
Did we say and explore how to ensure the web access to all aspects of the website? John?
I don't think it's necessary. I think it's strong enough the way it is that bring the website up to date. There's no limitation there. I think we can just move forward with the way we got the wording.
Okay. Let's call the question. All in favor?
That's Bill, myself, Carrie, Dwight, John, Councillor Wall? Yes? Yes, thank you. And Karen.
Yep, all in
Thank
favor.
you, Karen. I'll take the chair back. Thank you. Okay. And we'll go on to beautification, Carrie.
That the DBIA Executive Committee recommends the Board of Management contact property owners of identified problem areas downtown to assist in beautification of their areas. The problem areas I identified are the gateways at Clarence and Darling, Clarence and Colburn, and the alleyway from Market to King between Colburn and Dalhousie. I just wanted to amend this to say that the executive director, not Board of Management, contacts the property owners. That first line. So I moved the motion there.
Seconder?
No second.
Thank you, Dwight.
So this is just, I know there's a lot of problem areas in the downtown, and we do have some, good property owners that I think if we approach them and work with them, we have money in our beautification budget, but also I think some of the landowners might be willing to put some money forth as well. And this is all about creating public spaces and beautification of the downtown. It's areas as well that we could make active with whatever benches, plants, music or whatever. And I think when the public knows the intended use of a space, they're more likely to respect the space. So that's my thoughts on that.
Any further discussion? Councillor Wall?
I was just curious if we were going to assign a dollar figure to it, much like we do, or are we just going to leave it at the discretion of the executive?
No, I think right now, I think just explore, and then we will bring back, say, one property. Okay, this property owner wants to work with us, and then we can work on a budget and a plan. I think this is just investigate, just to see if anyone's willing to work with us to try to beautify the area. And because if a landowner won't even begin to talk, then there's no use moving forward. So this is more just an investigation, and then we can move on to, but the executive won't be deciding anything without bringing it back to the board.
I love this idea. Wholly support it.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor? Bill, Dwight, Christina, myself, Councillor Wall, Carrie, and Karen. Thank you. Okay, 6.634, downtown revitalization.
Yeah, I brought this one too.
Carrie as well.
Sorry, I'm hogging the meeting here. So I wanted to recommend that the Board of Management that we investigate the possibility of getting the funds earmarked in the 2019 from the downtown revitalization account for street furniture to provide benches and bike racks through the downtown. This is something that I think Gagan is going to speak to with the revitalization. I don't know if you want to speak now or.
No, we'll call the question first, or second it first.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dwight. Any discussion? Gagan, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah. So I think that this item refers to the Main Street Revitalization Fund that was received from AMO last year. So through that fund, I think it was $117,000 were dedicated to the city of Brantford to procure those items. And then we put some money away from our own budget as well to help with the installation. So most of those items have already been procured. They're actually at our yards right now. I'm going to be visiting next week to see them and make sure that everything was purchased correctly and that they delivered everything in accordance to what we had ordered. So I'm going to be doing that next week. And then I am taking a downtown walkthrough with our ops team to look at the areas that were proposed. We actually had a council report about this that Indy brought forward when he was in this position, where he recommended the areas where the all the items would be going. And we did end up purchasing everything that was in the council report except for the ash containers. So it was 4 of the large garbage and recycling containers, and they're the solar powered ones. So those ones are going to be installed in various locations. I can send out the council report as well that went out that has the map of where everything is going to be located. I don't have the exact number, but we did order the bike racks and the benches as well. And the planters that we have are going to replace the planters that are currently in the downtown. We actually do have some funding left over, so we are going to be purchasing another trash and recycling container, as well as some more bike racks maybe. We're just trying to figure out what that funding could go towards. But some of the areas that we are going to be putting up the furniture are Moto Yoga. They had asked for putting some bike racks in front of there. There are some that are close by to Harmony Square and on the Dalhousie and Market intersection area. So there are various things. They're going to be going up hopefully within the next couple of months. You should be seeing them. But yeah, anybody have any questions?
John?
Yeah, I agree with the motion here, but I'd like to defer any new benches downtown until this COVID evaporates. I don't want to be adding areas that adding benches downtown in this environment doesn't seem to be a good idea. Bike racks, great. These garbage containers, great. If there's benches, I'd like to hold the installation back at least for a year until this settles down, hopefully.
Councillor Wall?
I believe as Mr. O'Neill suggested, benches are still closed. I wonder though if perhaps the request for the funding for the benches might be time sensitive, and that instead of deferring, we could just amend it to state, we want the funding, but we wouldn't do anything about installing them until after COVID. If we could just amend it to say, you know, hey, can we investigate getting more benches, but to delay the implementation of putting in the benches until after COVID-19.
So Councillor, while we actually have already procured all of the items and all of the furniture through this funding, they're just sitting at the yards right now, and that's what we're going to be working on next with our ops team, is when we're going to actually be implementing the installation of the furniture.
So then is there any feasibility to the motion?
I can take it back and we can chat about it for sure.
So why don't we add a friendly amendment saying, but delay installation of benches until post-COVID or until further recommended.
Annette?
Does the motion make sense now, hearing that all of the money has been spent, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's
John?
You're muted, sir.
Your speaker's not on.
Sorry, I agree. I don't see the point of the motion being that there's no money for 219, so it's kind of redundant. We can maybe have an impact on where they put the assets, but with regards to benches, that I could see them left off the table for at least a year, but the motion doesn't really have any meaning, in my mind.
Okay. Any further discussion? Sorry, Gary?
Sorry, John's correct. It kind of is moot now that we have an answer to that. So we just want to scrap the motion. That's fine with me.
So we'll say that you're withdrawing the motion, Gary?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, 6.4, shopping carts in the downtown core. You're on stage again, Carrie.
So I put a motion that the DBIA recommends the Board of Management to request the city investigate the ban of shopping carts in the downtown street. Can I get a seconder for that?
That's Dwight seconding.
I second it, but on discussion.
Thank you, Dwight. And discussion?
Dwight here.
Dwight?
I think we redefine the, you say shopping carts. I think we should be more definitive here and say grocery store carts, because that's that's what we're looking to ban in the downtown core. Not if you say shopping carts, it's a gray area as to what you do. I mean, people have they need little carts and the rest, but it's the grocery store carts that basically, and we may get a lot of flack for this, the homeless are making a home out of and carrying all their stuff, and they use them. It's dangerous as well. They use them as weapons and all kinds of things here. If these were banned out of the core, they're actually being stolen if it comes right down to it. And I've had interaction with the police. They can move the homeless along, but they don't want to move on the grocery carts and the rest of it there. Which, if it's you or me, those carts are stolen as far as anybody's concerned. But I think we should be definitive as to what we're looking to do. I don't know.
Sounds like a friendly amendment there. That was the intent of the motion.
I took a phone call, so can somebody repeat what that friendly amendment is?
Is that, sorry, that we say grocery store carts,
okay.
Grocery store shopping carts.
Okay. And that was Bill. His internet connection kicked out, so he's left the meeting.
Okay. Councillor Wall?
So I remember when I was a little younger, there was a website about silly laws. And one of the laws was, in Toronto, it is 100% illegal to drag a dead horse down Yonge Street on a Sunday. And I remember laughing about that, like, who makes these laws? And then, you know, now that I'm one of those people who makes bylaws, I understand. So yeah, should you allowed to have a shopping cart that may or may not be stolen and have it filled with goods and be dragging it through the downtown? Maybe, maybe not. I think the nature of this motion is good. I worry about a couple of things. I worry about enforcement. I worry about whether or not it's something that would even fly if we tried to make it a bylaw council, but there's no reason we couldn't look at it. I just don't know if it's the answer to all of our problems. And I worry about supporting it because, you know, members of our community who are downtown with a shopping cart, it makes sense, but it's also really complicated. Like, how do you, are police going to drive downtown and take the shopping cart with somebody's personal belongings in it and just dump the cart on the, you know, so are you at, like, this would have to be a motion. Like, we would have, myself or one of the other councilors would have to move a motion to create a bylaw. So are you asking us, or are you asking staff to implement and recommend to council no shopping carts?
Well, we asked the staff to investigate the ban, so.
Okay, and that's fair. Is there
And
any other city that has a ban like this? Is there
yes,
precedent?
yes, there is. Mount Vernon in BC does. There's been a couple others that have brought it in, but then decided not to do it. But I think personally, I brought it forth as a way to start the conversation. We need to set a higher standard downtown. Right now, we're tolerating this. We're letting people carry not just their belongings, but garbage. A lot of these people don't have a problem determining what's garbage and what's not. Other cities have provided things like backpacks, or the one city had their university design a cart that's more pleasing to the eyes. It's also a safety issue. I've seen the carts thrown around in a fight. I'm worried, especially with patios being on the street, that our patrons are in danger with these shopping carts going by. It does lead to a sense of urban decay, but I realize this is a homeless and a poverty issue, not a criminal issue. So that's where we kind of draw the line. But I think we need to, you know, like the mayor's worked on getting the panhandlers off the street corners. I think some creative ways might be found to deal with these shopping carts.
So I have 3 more points. I'll be very brief, Barbara. This is not a problem exclusive to the downtown. In conversations with other councillors, even in Ward 5, there are shopping carts in East Ward, there are shopping carts in Eagle Place a lot, and the public is constantly coming to us. So I was wondering if perhaps we could change the recommendation from specifically into the downtown, just to make it that the city investigate a bylaw stating that, you know, shopping carts or whatever, grocery carts are for grocery shopping, and maybe take away the exclusivity to the downtown. I know that that's our region, but it should be something really that's citywide if we're going to consider doing something like this. And then the next part I wanted to mention was, a lot of businesses have put the onus is on the business to have locking wheels on their mechanisms or something. Like, the businesses are a part of this. They need to be making sure that their property is not being taken off of their property and being used in this capacity. When we find 10, 15 shopping carts behind a warehouse over in Eastward somewhere, you know, where do we return that property to? And then I'm being pedantic, maybe is the word, but are we using the word streets specifically? Because what about on the sidewalk? And I know that maybe I'm just arguing semantics, but I mean, like, a lot of these, it's on the sidewalks too. So does streets cover sidewalks? Because whatever, I'm just arguing semantics here, but
John?
that's all of my points.
Thank you, Councillor. John?
Yeah, I'm not so sure this is going to be entirely successful. This type of motion, if it's passed in City Hall, ends up downloading another job responsibility on the police that really is none of their business to be dealing with. Personally, I believe this is a social and a mental health issue, and it's an indication of lack of support at the provincial level that creates this problem. I'm just not comfortable putting something on that will end up being one more job for the police to do, because ultimately they're the last stop in the chain. And they get a lot of social problems to be dealing with now that really aren't police issues, and this will just add another one to it. And I don't think it'll be successful. I don't, like the people pushing cars, they don't care. You give them a ticket, they don't care. So I don't think has a lot of success is possible with this motion. So I can't support it.
Goes back.
Dwight?
Yes, I've had some personal interactions with this, and the grocery stores, they don't seem to really care about their carts. They're expensive. They have people out retrieving these, and I have had 2 instances where they've come along and the homeless have had the cart, and it's been sitting there kind of abandoned with the stuff in it. And they come along and they just dump everything out of the cart on city property, on your property, or whatever it is, and away they go. And this is another. It's almost a garbage and litter problem to as much as a social problem with things here, because but I agree with John. There's issues with just about anything here, and if we say that, sure, take the streets out of it in the downtown, but I really don't know how to address it. This was a start after we discussed things. I talked to the police as well. I mean, they can move the people along, they'll move them along, but they're hesitant to take their home away from them with their grocery cart for whatever reason, when it's clearly been stolen or taken or for use with things. So we need to start something someplace, that's for sure.
Thank you, Dwight. Bill, was your hand up?
No, I'm back.
Oh, okay. We're glad to see you back. Carrie?
I would agree with Josh in that it's a citywide issue, and that's what some cities have done, started with the downtown and realized they can't do the downtown without doing the whole city. So if I agree to a friendly amendment to say ban in all public places, might be a way to deal with this. And I think it would be by law, not the police, that would be enforcing this. And I don't know, I just, part of it is the homeless issue too. People don't have a place to go and don't have a place to store their belongings, but also it's somewhat exacerbating the homeless problem by allowing people to carry around their home in the shopping carts so that they can set up camp anywhere they want. So I don't know, I just think it's a problem that needs to be dealt with, whether I just thought it'd be good if the city could investigate possible ways of dealing with it.
And now, do you have the motion rewritten? Can you read it back, or?
That the DBBIA Executive Committee recommends to the DBBIA Board of Management to request the city investigate the ban of grocery store shopping carts in the city.
In all public places.
In all public places.
Outside of their intended use.
Yes.
Oh,
that sounds good.
Does it have to be grocery store carts? Because Lowe's and Home Depot and everybody's, it's just shopping carts as opposed to grocery Store
Yeah, but like
carts.
shopping carts can be those little trolleys you pull behind. Like the wording definitely would have to be.
What about merchant shopping cart, something like that?
Something, yeah.
Or a commercial shopping
Yeah,
cart.
that sounds good.
That's
Barbara,
better.
when you're ready.
Go ahead, Councillor Wall.
I worry about it passing right now in its current form. I'm wondering if perhaps we could do a referral to one of our staff liaisons who report to this committee to have them come back to and say to the BIA whether or not it's feasible, whether or not they're already investigating it, and basically like it's rip off and duplicate, right? Obviously Carrie's investigated this herself and that there are other municipalities who have done it. So is there a way before we pass this that we could get a report on this so that we have all the information in front of us? I don't think that this is necessarily time sensitive or anything that's going to happen in the next 60, 90 days. So perhaps we could ask for more information and discuss this at a later date once we have that information. That's what I'm thinking.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. All right. Sorry, Annette, do I have to call for a vote on the referral?
Yes.
Yes, okay. May I have a seconder for that motion? That's Dwight, okay. And all in favor for the referral?
Can I say something?
Oh, sorry, Carrie.
I just want to say that's probably a good idea because there's also human rights implications that I'm sure the city lawyer will want to comment on. So I think that's a great step, is just doing the referral and bringing back. That's kind of the intent of the motion anyway.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, we'll call for a vote on the referral of this motion. All in favor? Okay, so it's myself, Carrie, Dwight, Councillor Wall, and Bill and Karen. All opposed? John, are you opposed?
No.
No, John's in favor. Okay. Excuse me. All right, thank you very much for that discussion. 6.5 is the Economic Recovery Action Plan, and I'll just be really, really quick about this. It will proceed in stages according to the lead partners, and there are actually 2 meetings tomorrow to discuss attracting students back to the city, and to create a package to attract them back. And I'm sorry, I actually forget the wording of the second meeting, but there are 2 meetings to discuss that and students tomorrow. So I'll report back on those when I can. All right. 6.6, trespass to Property Act of Ontario, and we have an email from Sergeant Christopher Grantham. Annette, do you have anything to say about that?
It was just a suggestion from him. I guess he had received a letter from a downtown business giving the police permission to step in on their behalf if people are sleeping in doorways and moving people along. So he was asking if this is something the BIA could take on, letting the membership know that this is available to them. There's signage involved. If businesses did send the letter into the police, they would also have to have signage up saying so, that there's no trespassing here. Yeah.
Okay, any questions on this? So Annette, would that mean that we just send out Sergeant Grantham's email to the membership?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 6.7, downtown Brantford business concerns and comments. Anybody want to weigh in on this? We seem to have a hygiene problem downtown. Concerns about putting up a patio, how to manage people hanging out, and concerns about lack of students. I'm going to give 10 minutes on this conversation, if anybody would like to go in. Councillor
Dwight here.
Yeah, Councillor Wall.
So, I mean, I did receive an email correspondence about the defecation and the public washrooms not being open. There is a bit of an update on that. Some businesses have gone back to opening up their washrooms, but again, it's private property, so whether or not people decide to use it is up to them. There are also porta potties around. I don't necessarily know of any specific ones in the downtown core, but that's a very complex societal issue, and there were some interesting conversations had. How do you stop something like this from happening? And it's a two-way street. You have to hope that people will abide by the law and not urinate or defecate on public property, but on private property, you know what I mean? It's private property. That was a really complex one. It's not appropriate. All we could do is really ask people to please not. The patio, if you put up a patio and you want to manage people hanging out, I mean, even local Tim Hortons have a 15 minutes and you're out. Not all of them, but it's a private property's owner to say, hey, there are other people waiting. You have to limit your use. Even the splash pad being open, you have 15 minutes to go on the splash pad. And I've had moms and dads calling me saying, how do you explain to a 6-year-old you've got 15 minutes to play in the water? We have to manage ourselves. You have to share, and you can't just hang out on a patio and drink with your friends when there's only 12 seats on that patio. And then regarding the lack of students and events in the core, it is devastating. I'm up every day and I walk through the downtown and I miss the hustle and bustle of a jam-packed Harmony Square, or people hanging out in Victoria Park, and the thousands of students coming and going. But we are in a pandemic, and we need, you really shouldn't be hanging out or just going downtown right now. And it definitely does suck the life right out of our downtown core. And maybe we could remember the good times and hope for better times in the future. But one day we will come back. And I have a feeling that because so many people are missing coming downtown and missing doing this, that when, we move into phase 3 and when the pandemic starts to slow down, you're going to see people supporting local businesses and supporting local events and getting out like they never have before. And hopefully that'll make a dramatic difference for the downtown.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. Dwight?
Yes, I think this is more a social problem. I've been dealing with it for years. Private property, I have to clean up defecation at my business site all the time with things. And even good times when the hotel was open, when it was a hotel, there was other things. Also, people and their animals downtown here, they really, some do, but the majority of them don't. I watch them all the time go over the Cano's vacant lot across from me at King and Dalhousie Street. Their animals defecate. I see them over on beside KFC on the Royal Bank property. I don't know what you do about this, but they need to take responsibility for things. But it is a social problem. It definitely is, and whether it's a person defecating or an animal or what it is, it's just not right. And the city, I might commend the city staff as with the virus on here. I've never seen them cleaner with things going on with the vacuum and what's the other
Street sweeper.
Yeah, I'm losing my voice and my battery here is going. So anyhow.
Okay. Thank you, Dwight. Carrie, did you have a comment?
I just said street sweeper. I think he was trying to think of.
Right. Okay. All right. Any more comments on this? We have 6 minutes.
I just have not necessarily about these points, but a comment. I'm wondering, Councillor Wall, normally people go to the library for free access to the internet. Is there anywhere right now that people can access free internet?
Legally? I'm not aware. Well, I mean, it depends on what your definition of free is. There are numerous businesses downtown that have open Wi-Fi that you can connect to without the I think the expectation is that you're a patron of their business, but not necessarily. It's not a requirement. You don't have to provide proof. I don't think that people should be doing that, but I think we've had conversations at this board before about downtown Wi-Fi. So yes, there is access to the internet. The question of whether or not it is free is questionable.
It's just, I know right now with everything being shut down and people needing access to information, I know it's the city's responsibility to provide avenues for access to information. And right now with the library being closed, I think that is the only place that people without internet at home can legally, as you say, sit down and access a computer with free internet. And that's the intent of my question is, where can someone without internet in the city go for access to information?
I think it's a great question. I'll send a request. I'll send an email into staff to see if there's anywhere that the city is providing free internet to the public. But I do believe that a savvy citizen could easily get access to the internet should they want it, for low to no cost. But yeah, I understand the intent of your question.
Okay.
Okay. Any further comments? No? Can we go further into 6.8, which is an open discussion on any other subject we'd like to talk about? Councillor Wall?
There's two I want to talk about with this BIA very, very quickly. The first is I've received a number of emails and phone calls and copies of like screenshots about other municipalities shutting down downtown streets so that businesses can extend their patios into the streets. And so far, upon my research, is that we just don't have the capacity per capita for like local coffee shops and restaurants for it to be feasible to shut down entire city streets without it being, well, we're shutting down one street for one group, but what about the other group? And I just wanted to know if anybody on this BIA had any requests from their end about shutting down downtown streets and whether or not it's something that is even worth investigating, because my investigation has shown that it isn't a viable or feasible option for a downtown of our capacity.
Annette?
Just one comment about that, because I've seen those same suggestions and I'm always brought back to what happened to Hungry Ninja when Colburn Street was closed. And I think you have to be very aware of what happens to other businesses when you close the street. We saw that with Colburn Street after the fire. So
you know, when the Y was being built, it was what, 12 weeks?
Yeah.
It wasn't very nice.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I'm not on Colburn Street. Sorry.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I think we'll go on to just our matter of reports and updates. Chamber of Commerce, Conestoga.
Sorry,
Annette. Go ahead.
Josh said he had two.
I'm sorry?
Josh said he had two items.
Oh,
okay. Sorry, Councillor Wall, I didn't see that.
The other one was going to be mandatory face masks. We conversed about it at the beginning, and I wasn't sure. I was surprised it wasn't on the agenda about whether or not the BIA was going to but it's irrelevant. I think I just wanted to talk about the mandatory face mask conversation.
Okay.
Is the city talking or proposing? Is that why?
So the Brant County Health Unit released a statement suggesting that Brant County and City of Brantford make masks mandatory. So there's a meeting this morning of the EOC, and there's expecting to be a recommendation to council to pass a bylaw to make masks mandatory for the foreseeable future.
Indoors?
Yeah, for indoors, it'll be very complex bylaw. And it'll basically, what I imagine it'll be is that, you know, if you can wear a mask, you have to wear a mask, but, you know, it won't be mandatory for children or people with respiratory, well, you know, honestly, I'm still waiting for the report to come through, and I'm still determining how we're going to vote, because the community is mixed. As business owners here, a lot of the people here on the board, I mean, a lot of your employees are mandated to have to wear their masks. You know, some businesses you go into. Anyway, it's a very complex subject, and I wasn't sure what the BIA was thinking about it. That's it.
Any more comments?
I think as a small city, almost all of us social distance anyways. We're not Toronto rubbing elbows and pushing people out of the way. It's just a normal thing for us to keep 3 or 4 feet away from each other. Maybe not 6, but everybody keeps away from each other. I don't think it's necessary. You know, how many cases of COVID have we had in the last month? Once the, you know, even with phase 2, there's what, 2 in the last week, but I don't think it's a problem.
Okay. Any further comments?
I think the last thing I would say, just because this is a public platform, especially for any BIA members who might be watching this, if you have an opinion on whether or not you think this should be mandatory, you should be reaching out to myself or Brian or the mayor's office. And any public at home who are watching this, if you want your voice heard, now's the time. Our membership should be contacting whether or not, you know, you're the businesses, you're the frontline workers where people are coming in. Do you think it should be mandatory for the public to be wearing a mask when they come into your business? Now's the time to have your voice heard on it, because I'm sure that decision is going to be coming shortly.
Okay, thank you. Was it Carrie? Did you have something?
Not on that point, but I have another point.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
we're still in open discussion, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to, first of all, I want to thank the mayor for, or whoever was the master that got our streets open after our BIA meeting last month. Thank you to the city. And thanks to Kevin Finney, I wanted to say, because he's been very helpful every time we reach out to him, he's there to respond. So I want to say thanks to Kevin for helping to support us. I also want to make a suggestion that we ask Annette to reach out to all our downtown partners, the museum, post-secondary, the library, the chamber, and the police, to see how we can work together. I would assume like later in the summer to bring back the downtown. It's downtowns are usually the first thing to start a rebound after a crisis. So I think it's a good time for us to grasp this and go with it. So, you know, to see how we can work with all these partners and what their plan is for reopening and how we can assist them and how they can work with us. The museum, I think we can talk to about putting online tours on our website. It's something simple that could be done. Ruth Leffler actually had an article in the Expositor I saw a little while ago that was a tour of historic sites in Brantford, and most of them were in Brantford or were in downtown. So I've reached out to her about possibly putting together just a, you know, it would be an online thing where they pull it up and the different sites are there with an explanation of the different sites and where they can visit. I think things like that can be easily done later in the summer. So just a suggestion that we reach out to all our partners and see what we can do together.
Okay, good. All right. If we can go, any further discussion on other subjects? All right, so I'd like to carry on with subcommittee liaison reports, and you've all received copies of those, and I encourage you to read them. No notices of motion, so we're down to our next meeting, and that is August the 12th. I'm going to assume it's by Zoom again, and we're getting better at this, so thank you, everyone. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Dwight. And a second. Gary, thank you. All right, thank you, everyone.
9:26, pretty good.
9:26, and nice to meet you, Gagan, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks. Nice meeting everybody.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.